I just always wondered what else is out there for me. And then I got the message. He was just like, I think you are my brother.
He was adopted as an infant. And one day, Michel Prentice got a message that changed his life, bringing a family and brothers he never even knew he had.
He was sending me photos of myself, asking if this is you. And at first, I was very reclusive. I was like, yo.
I had nothing to go on except for a first name. I had a first name and then this picture.
A reunion 30 years in the making, spanning 5 countries and 3 languages.
I'm a fine artist, so I create art as well as I teach art.
30-year-old Michel has called Toronto home for the last 10 years. But he grew up here, in Flesherton, Ontario, a tiny town of less than 600 people.
There was a lot of community in the small town that I grew up with, and everybody knows everybody. That's just kind of how the countryside is.
Was it difficult being a black kid growing up in a city that I assume doesn't have too many people who look like you?
So yeah, my brother and I, we found it hard. It was tough fitting in and sometimes downright nasty. This is in Haiti?
Yep. Michel and his brother Jordan share much more than the experience of growing up black in a small town.
Met you at the orphanage with your house mothers.
They were both adopted from Haiti at a young age.
Michel is about 5 weeks and Jordan is 14 months.
But they aren't biologically related. And Michel knew little about the family who'd given him up, left only with this picture of his father and the sad story of his birth.
I remember when my parents had told me that the orphanage had let them know that my mother had passed away giving birth to me, and I always felt a little empty. It was tough. I tried to draw a picture of her, and I just couldn't do it.
For years, this was the only family Michel had ever known. But that all changed in March of 2020.
I knew it was him because his facial features are very similar to mine.
Eloy Ferguson had spent the last 15 years looking for his baby brother. He lived almost a parallel life as him, growing up with white parents and adopted siblings in small-town Maine. Then a chance encounter led to something remarkable.
My dad, he knew a Haitian man who traveled from Haiti into the US. My dad gave him some information about me, my last name. Next thing you know, my cousins emailed my father, and my dad told me that I had family, and we connected. And
they didn't just connect. They told Eloy news he wasn't prepared for, that he was one of 6 brothers.
And I was overwhelmed with emotion. I was speechless.
Their story begins in Tomazo, Haiti, about an hour outside the capital city. Mariana and Andre were struggling to take care of their 6 boys. It turns out their mother hadn't died giving birth to Michel, but her mental health was deteriorating quickly, and she was sent to a care facility. Left on his own, Andre was just too poor to care for the boys and had no choice but to split them up. Eloy, Michel, and Ishmael were adopted by North American families. Too old for the orphanage, Joseph and Etienne were sent to live with relatives in Haiti. And just 7 years old, Ezekiel was sent to work on a farm in the Dominican Republic.
Once I found that out, it was my sole mission to seek out these other siblings, to find them any way possible, because we had very minimal information. We didn't have much at all to go with.
But one by one, he did find them. Joseph in Florida, Etienne in Chile, Ezekiel in Brazil. Another 6 years would pass before an ancestry DNA test led him to Ishmael. He now goes by Josh. But Michel was still nowhere to be found until one of the brothers found a clue.
Joseph had found another picture of Michel, and this actually had a last name on it. Once I found that information, I immediately went on Google and just Googled his name.
It was a lot going on. It was so much to process, but I knew that I had to meet them all and see what they look like, and I just was hungry to just see their experience.
There you are.
There we go.
Hey.
But the pandemic put the brakes on any in-person meeting, forcing the brothers to connect the only way they could. We joined in on a virtual call.
This is pretty crazy, just seeing everybody here and being able to do this.
Together, they're learning more about the very different lives they've lived.
I was in Port-au-Prince too, living with my auntie.
And the older brothers who never forgot the little ones who went away.
Estoy buscando todo Laura y mis hermanos. Fui al hospital donde se va mi papá para saber la noticia de mis hermanos.
Years ago, the three older brothers reconnected with their father, who so desperately wanted to find his three long-lost sons.
Todos los días mi papá se llorando, nosotros se llorando también, pero es difícil para mí de soportarte de eso, porque no sabe dónde ellos.
Sadly, their father didn't live to see this reunion.
Él murió en mi brazo en el hospital. Él apretó mi brazo.
So much loss. But there is hope too, and comfort for Michel knowing his biological mother is alive.
Like I felt at peace. I felt like this is so gratifying.
When you thought about one day, maybe, being connected with your family, did you ever imagine it would be like this?
No, this is something I never could have imagined.
It's like a weight has been lifted off my shoulder. It feels like now we can start our relationship.
Michel can't wait to one day meet his brothers in person. Until then, they have a lifetime of catching up to do. Janella Massa, CBC News, Toronto.